outrageous pickup there. Again, if it is, I would assume it's going to be the CP Idris, because you do not play a weapon Idris into Catherine. That is just not a good idea. And there's going to be the Celeste ban because they have that Idris.
Yeah, I'm really liking SK's draft so far. It's extremely smart. They're saying these are our strengths and we're just going to go straight to them and play to our win conditions. With the Idris CP that we've seen on Kvalifar multiple times now, he's extremely strong on it. They pick him up for Kvalifar to allow him and carry late game. And at the same time, they're saying, we respect your Celeste. We're not going to give it to you, especially since you have Catherine, and they take away the Celeste. So far, it's looking really good for SK. Cruel Bat comes out from G2.
And one of the really interesting things about the SK draft as well, they can be confident in picking up that CP Idris because Tyrus has such a deep hero pool. We just saw him playing a Grumpjaw. We know that he can play Glaive. We know that there's a multitude of these weapon junglers that aren't gonna, you can't take enough of them off the table to completely close out this hero pool.
Yeah, it's very, very smart drafting. They are going to grab the Lyra, so they even save that jungler for a last pick, which is so smart. Having that last pick is so crucial to being able to try and see what your opponents are going to do, try and figure out what their win conditions are going to be, and pick something that can try and disrupt that, or that can just outright beat that. And with the Idris there, obviously can still flex, but like I said, it's so unlikely that it's going to be a weapon Idris with the Grace on the side of G2, so they can just wait, see what G2 is going to do. They grab themselves the Kestrel.
Is this Baptiste that's going to come out like they did last time with the Kestrel Baptiste Catherine?
I would assume it would be the Baptiste because they have that Catherine, but it's a situation where it makes so much sense that they might be sitting here thinking, trying to do that mind games thing of being like, okay, SK would be expecting us to take the Baptiste. Maybe we need to do something else, but they are going to go onto that Baptiste, the tried and true combo.
Yeah, I mean, often if you go into those kind of mind games, you can actually end up mind gaming yourself. And, Catherine Baptiste, very, very strong combination.
I wouldn't be surprised if SK went for another ranged hero in the jungle like the Scar for the Samuel that they've played in the past. It works well against Baptiste Catherine to kite away and just use your range advantage, and it synergizes with Lyra because you have a lot of sustain. I really like SK's draft. It's extremely smart. Just the way they approach their strengths and identify their weaknesses that are coming from G2's composition, really like it.
And they can even easily go into the double crystal because Kestrel and Baptiste are not going to be building a whole lot of defense on their builds. Like, they don't have the inventory space to invest heavily into the defensive items. So a double CP comp would not be a bad idea.
All right, well, it's time to get on into this one. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter to let us know who you are supporting for this one. Let us know who you want to take this final. We should be able to get on into this game. So talking about the compositions then, gentlemen, who are the favorites coming into this one? What do they have to achieve here?
I would say SK did just need to play to their range advantage. Make sure you scale the CP Idris and kite away the Baptiste Catherine when they are engaging on you. As long as they do that, they should be able to take this matchup here.
All right, we'll see if they can bring that to pass, if they can make that happen coming on into this game. Make sure to let us know on Twitter who you are supporting. I know I'm excited to get on into this one, hoping for a full best of 3 for this game. But it's time to pass it over to our casters and kick off our finals here for Europe. It's Denominate and Dowsy.
And this is the double crystal power composition that we saw SK run last week in the finals against Fnatic. Not against a Baptiste Catherine, but against the Vox Lance Fortress build that we've seen be popularized by a mouse here in Europe. We'll have to see if this double CP can defeat the dreaded Catherine Baptiste combo Denominate.
Yeah, Kavalifar's Idris, absolutely great. Tyra's Samuel, absolutely great. But letting a Catherine Baptiste over is something that, SK could potentially be, really regretting here, as that's so much crowd control to block. And, obviously, if you're stunned up for long periods of time, it doesn't matter if you're the better composition as far as late game goes, because you're losing out on that crowd control game. So overall, I think both of these teams have a really good draft set together, but I do want to lean on the side of G2 here. As much of a fan as I am of SK, Dowsy, I think G2 might have won this draft.
Oop, that's going to be a steal coming over. Tyra is able to secure that, and Kiana Nakora in a lot of trouble. Just about escapes the wrath from Tyra's in this Samuel. The invade will continue here, pushing Hundor away from his minions in the lane, making sure he doesn't get that farm. A lot of damage does come out of Dark Potato. Kavalifar, though, really not hard pushing. Doesn't have any damage on his Idris, and maybe I've got a little bit ahead of myself. It is potentially a weapon power Idris for Kavalifar. He does play it. I just think it's SK's kind of little trick here in 2.8. So they figured out how to do double CP. Is going to be a Eclipse Prism, so it is going to be the double CP. We nailed it, Denominate.
I think this is the best bet for the side of SK. Yes, it is double crystal power. You are making it very easy for your opponents to defend against you. Specifically, Hundor is only going to have to go into an Aegis in the late game to defend himself against both carries. The real benefit in going the double crystal, though, is that they'll be able to spend their entire time kiting away. They don't have to commit forward into a fight where they're going to be in danger of that Fearsome Shade, in danger of that Blast Tremor. In fact, the Fearsome Shade coming out I almost want to say helps the side of SK in some scenarios, because your idea is to be kiting away. The Samuel wants to fight from a distance, the Idris wants to fight from a distance, and both of them in the late game will outrange the poke potential of Dark Potato, and that is, you know, kind of the saving grace here. I do think if you get locked up by Dark Potato and Keanu Nakoa, though, it is going to be very easy for G2 to make the fights if they can commit hard.
Yeah, and yesterday we did see Dark Potato play an excellent Batiste. In fact, it was G2 playing double Crystal Power. Kavalifar here looks like he is dead. He will go down. First Blood goes over to G2. Hundor able to secure it. Yesterday's games from G2 against Fnatic, a double CP versus double weapon power composition. Batiste for Dark Potato, he actually went into the Echo himself. So Keanu Nakoa had an Echo, Dark Potato had an Echo, lots of CC coming out, and actually it looks like Tyros may struggle to get out this one alive. Just about survives for now. Is Kavalifar getting involved? Balasabetics coming through. Hundor wants to position in, Tyros will reveal him. Kavalifar going low, looking like he will fall, and he will to Hundor. No, Dark Potato, in fact. Hundor now looking to get a kill onto Hegman here, and Dark Potato, those empowered bad mojos doing so much damage. SK are falling behind in the early game.
Yeah, they are. It does take time for both the Samuel and the Idris to ramp up, whereas the Kestrel is really decent through most parts of the game, as well as even in the early game, the Batiste is able to put out a sizable amount of damage when you manage your soul fragments properly. Obviously, getting that Reap perk procced gives you that additional 100% crystal power on your abilities. So that is absolutely huge for Batiste to continue to try to win this early game, specifically before Kavalifar gets his ranged attacks, that Shatterglass or Frostburn online, whichever one he decides to go. I'd actually even argue that this is probably a better time to try to go with that Frostburn first, just to help keep the distance. And then same with Tyros. Go into that Frostburn first item, make it difficult for Dark Potato to get in a position where he can actually damage you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing that this composition for SK has, is range over the Batiste. Both the Malice and Verdicts, when empowered, the Chakram as well from Kavalifar make up for so much range, and with a double Frostburn, they can make sure Keanu Nakoa can't get in position to be effective, Dark Potato can't get in position, and Hundor, of course, on this Kestrel, already so squishy, so if any damage hits him, it's going to hurt nonetheless, no matter what the item is. So I'm 100% on board for a double Frostburn in this scenario. Not a disliker of the Frostburn, I just think it has its place, and this is definitely a game where its place is pretty powerful. Tyros almost finds a kill. Man, G2 are so low. At this 5.5 minute mark, Keanu Nakoa hasn't been able to complete the fountain for his team, has to backport to complete it now, but SK may look to chip away at this turret, Denominate.
They have the potential to, for sure, and it is going to drop very, very quickly here. That is 2 kills for the side of G2, but that is first objective going to the side of SK, and that is absolutely huge for them. Obviously, now Samuel level 6 has that Oblivion available, level 7 even, off the steal on that Treant. So Oblivion and Fearsome Shade available. It's actually kind of cool to see the Samuel and the Batiste in the same game here. I think they, very, very good heroes overall. But, we see when Hundor and Dark Potato group up, specifically in that last fight, So much splash damage came out of Tyrez onto Hundor and Dark Potato, forced them both out of the fight. And Dark Potato's actually committed to a second Heavy Prison before going his Shatterglass, so gonna delay that tier 3 by a bit. We're 6.5 minutes into this game, Dowsy, with no tier 3 on this Baptiste.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting to see come out of a Dark Potato. I have to see how that plays out moving forward. Shatterglass typically gets finished around this point, 7 minutes the latest. Gold just isn't there yet for the side of G2. I love this final, by the way, Denomine. So hype. Spring champions up against the summer champions, fighting for top spot in autumn when only one European team can make it to Worlds. This is a storyline to follow throughout the Vainglory 8 season.
Oh, it absolutely is, and G2 has had great performances to get this far. It will be exciting to see if they can bring down SK, or if SK will continue to be champions of Europe, Europe's strongest hope at the World's Championship. Very good at shifting their playstyle, and I think that's really the key thing here, but now it's Tyra's. Drifting Dark is down.
Drifting Dark is down, doing damage to Kiana Nakoa. So much damage to Kiana Nakoa. Dark Potato wants to move in for the Ordain, and he lands it. Fearsome Shade, it gets blocked up by Hegman there. And SK can continue their march forward. Everyone on G2's very low. Hundor in trouble as Kavalafar threatens, and Dark Potato will find the backport to complete his Shatterglass. But once more, SK gonna threaten this turret. Kiana Nakoa holding onto the fountain. He's gonna have to use it, I feel. Nope, the healing flask comes out first. Hundor will pop his own as well for the extra healing and energy, but immediately that gets removed from him. Blast Tremor goes down. Silence is there, but SK instantly disengaged the fight. Now move back on in to see what they can get here. The Chakram does a damage to the turret. Does a lot. G2 are just standing by as SK continue their harassment.
And SK now going to get a lot of damage out of this turret. It's already halfway down, Dowsy, but Jordan is here. Will G2 follow up?
They can't.
Looks like it.
Hundo and Kiana Nakoa are just too low. That's where the double Frostburn comes in. Frostburn's so good into Catherine. On Idris, on any hero really. Catherine really struggles against anyone. There's two heroes that I can name off the top of my head in this moment that Frostburn really counters. Catherine is one of them, and Cruel is the other. They're heroes that rely on their movement abilities, their A, to get into team fights and do damage. The Merciless Pursuit, I can't quite remember the ability name for Cruel. My head is not working for me to nominate. But they rely on those A abilities to connect with their opponents, and Frostburn instantly removes that movement speed for them. So the double Frostburn for SK really doing works in making sure that if Kiana Nakoa really wants a Merciless Pursuit, and you can see that he's only got 10 stacks so far at this 10-minute mark, so little stacks you could say, then he's going to be punished very heavily for stepping forward. And it means that G2 doesn't really have engage potential.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, and we just haven't seen the Catherine Baptiste combo really come into light yet. It's been a pretty slow game as far as the fights go, as leading into the kills. I think, as Catherine gets the Echo online, as Baptiste potentially gets the Echo online, they start to stand a bit more chance, but SK has done such a good job just using their range to their advantage so far. It takes a hard engagement out of the side of G2 to get in and get the damage down, and we've committed so much gold into defense, specifically onto this Catherine. She will be a good frontline hero.
Kiana Nakoa misses his Merciless Pursuit onto Kavalafar, goes onto a minion, and now Dark Potato's going to go down. Hundo in trouble as the sleep goes onto Kiana Nakoa. Oblivion doing work. Hundo finds a kill onto Kavalafar, but instantly gets removed by Tyrez, and Kiana Nakoa now attempting to escape, but look at the Frostburn. Can he escape? No, he cannot. Tyrez with a double kill and an ace for SK as they continue their dominance in this game.
Yeah, now they turn their attention onto the gold mine, and just as I was saying, so much defense on this Catherine wasn't quite enough to get them through the fight. Overall, the amount of damage that comes through, you mentioned it, this missed Merciless Pursuit hits a minion. It did waste Kavalafar's reflex block, but Kavalafar's found a lot of damage at this point, and now Dark Potato committed too far. The good Shimmer Strike out of Kavalafar gets him out of harm's way. Hundor does find a good kill onto Kvalifar here, but drops himself, and then Kiana Nakoa with no energy and nowhere to run, nothing but a hope and a dream. It is an ace for the side of SK, turret destroyed, and gold mine. That is, you know, pretty big win.
Yeah, huge win coming through for SK. Almost gets sniped away by Hundor, but SK able to secure it. And that was an infusion that Hundor kind of just found a single kill on. Not really the 500 gold investment that G2 wanted. The gold lead up to 3,000 now, and if SK continue keeping their distance, it's going to be very difficult for the side of G2 to deal with the range and the slows that SK can output, even though they've stacked up on their damage points. We see those chakrams doing so much damage to the Kestrel, so squishy at all stages of the game, and SK just moving on forward. Balafar gonna get that broken myth online nice and quick for himself. Tyra's building into it as well, and a crystal sentry will go over to SK.
Yeah, and SK has been doing a great job with the objective control this game. It really hasn't allowed Dark Potato and Kiana Nakoa to come into light, but here we go. It's stunned down on Kvalifar. I just don't know if there's any follow-up on it.
We'll have to see. Tyra's is on the front line. Hundor struggling with Kvalifar. Fearsome Shade pushes them backwards, SK, but they got the hills. Kiana Nakoa going to get slowed on up here. Is able to find a stun, though, onto Kvalifar. He may just lose his life for that stun. Is going to be the Malice and Verdicts going forward, and he does lose his life. Tyra's now looking to snipe Dark Potato, the passageway to put them in range of the Batiste, and Dark Potato shall fall where he stands, just as he fights his way, but eventually goes down to the Samuel. 5-3 for SK, 4,000 gold in the lead, and every time G2 step forward, they get met by an icy response.
Yeah, and it just, to me, it's come down to just chasing too hard, and we talked about it earlier, is that's what the side of SK wants. They want you to chase a long-winded fight, and that's what it's been. If somebody would have been very low and you could have executed a kill onto it, it would have been worth, but the side of SK was too healthy. Kvalifar had gotten too far away. They were able to kite back. All of a sudden, Kiana Nakoa, even with all this shielding, was dropped way too low. They get the kill, they turn around the aggression, they find a Dark Potato as well, and they find a gold mine. So overall, you know, we are sitting at a 4,000 gold lead right now for SK, and you know, we have to get an echo online from either Catherine or Batiste if we want to win these fights, and the Fearsome Shade can't be used to push the enemy away. You need to use it to lock them up against an obstacle.
Yeah, no, I agree here. And you look at Dark Potato's build as well. He's looking like a Katy Perry song at this point. Hot and cold on it. Doesn't know what to build, where to go. Is he going towards a Crucible? Is he going towards War Treads? Does he want damage? Does he want shielding? He wants everything, but splitting items for tier 1s and tier 2s and not completing a tier 3 is putting G2 even further behind than they actually look like they are. They are going to struggle desperately to get back into this game as Kiana Nakoa is going so low, almost loses his life. Hundor, a lot of damage onto Hegman. Very nice stuff coming out of Hundor, the main damage source for the team, and Kvalifar does get locked in and ordained, but the Oblivion splits the side of G2 and makes sure that Kvalifar gets out nice and safely. Hundor gonna get some healing here, as does Kvalifar from Hegman. A Blast Tremor blocked up by the side of SK, and that will be Kvalifar locked down, but dodging out this damage. Hundor's doing a lot of work! Kiana Nakoa, though, will fall, and now without their captain on the front line, G2 will be forced back here. The heals from Hegman doing so much for SK. Dark Potato gets focused on down, taken out by Kvalifar, and Hundor dived upon by Hegman. Stun there onto Kval. Does lose his life once more, but the ace once more for SK, and now the choke point turret under fire.
Yeah, 15.5 minutes into this game, choke point turret going down for SK. It was a really good fight for them. Again, these long-winded fights favor the side of SK. Broken Myth completed for Kvalifar. Broken Myth complete for Tyra's. The damage ramped up so much in that last fight. Fortunately for the side of G2, Hundor was able to find a kill onto Kvalifar as we get into this replay now. We see the good Blast Tremor does get blocked, but at this point, it's Kvalifar and Tyras who just have so many Broken Myth stacks. And as the bubble runs out from Catherine, they just chase her down. They come in trying to find Dark Potato, but instead it's Hundor that stays a little bit too far out, looks for a kill onto Tyra's, not quite able to find it, ends up finding Kavalifar instead with this heavy critical build coming out of Kestrel. Loses his life though, and loses a turret as well. So overall, SK really showing a lot of dominance here in game number 1, Dowsey.
Oh, absolutely, and we do see right now with the Kraken online, it's just a Shadow Glass and a Heavy Prism for Dark Potato. He has Wall Treads to try and help within the engage potential, try and get G2 through the slows. Double Wall Treads might be able to get them into arm's reach of SK. We'll have to see if that's enough. Hundor, it's all on him. It's a moment where once more G2 put all their eggs in Hundor's basket, a place where normally their eggs are nice and safe. There is just so much work for Hundor to do to get those eggs to the farmer's market, and SK are doing their best to shatter them.
Yeah, and as of late, it's been Hundor, being all the eggs in the basket. Hold on here, we've got a fight breaking out. Dowsey.
This is going to be a block coming through to stop all the CC. Look at Tyra's on the backline, putting Hundor to sleep. Kavalifar, a double kill before he falls down. And it's Kian and Nakoa dying. A deja vu again and again. Kval dies before it is the last man taken out by Tyras. And with the ace buffed minions, SK going to push into the base.
Yeah, SK gonna shove the Ace Wave minions here, and it's been fight after fight. Hundor has been able to find a kill onto Kavalifar, but it ends up being SK coming out of the rest of the fight with so much damage ramping up from Samuel. I'm not sure they have the damage here, Dowsey, to finish the game, but they can at least take a turret and get out. Arcane Passage is used to escape, though. I think they could have made it out without that, and instead you're actually giving the enemies a chance to catch up to you now.
Yeah, Tyras is dead. This is disastrous for G2, though we will see the EU Treant come out in force, a double root off the back of that Oblivion, but they're going to start up this Kraken, and this heavy critical build that this Kestrel has means this Kraken will be light work for Hundor to deal with. How can Hegman and Kavalifar make up for this mistake is the question. Dark Potato's not there. They're going to spot this out just now. This is it, 2v2. They have to move in. Make work of this is going to be Kiana and Nakoa trying to keep them off it. The Kraken will be stolen by Kavalifar, and that is the redemption that SK needed. Now they have to escape and not die so they can make this Kraken worthwhile. Fearsome Shade from the silence goes on to Kval, but he escapes into a one-shot. No! Hegman blocks it. They survive. And now G2 having to backport, but they're going to stop them up here. Kval oversteps. He will die. That's going to be Tyras now moving on in to keep this fight alive. Hundor wants to backport, but Tyras is making sure he can't. Oblivion puts 2 to sleep. Oh dear. Tyras now has to take down Hundor and Dark Potato. The Kraken's in the base.
All they have to do is prevent the recalls, Dowsey.
Can they get the backport?
Literally all
That's
they have to
Hundor
do.
stopped. Dark Potato can't stop the Kraken by himself. Hundor needs to get out of this scenario if G2 want to survive. Tyras trying to find a kill, but Hundor's already got one. Hundor looking for 2. A double for Hundor. He's done it. But the Kraken is onto the Vein Crystal. It's time to see if Hundor can keep this game alive. It is melting this Kraken. Auto attack after auto attack. Hundor might just be able to do it. The hero play for G2 in this game 1. And they will continue their fight to take down SK.
An absolutely beautiful play out of Hundor there, and an actual misplay out of SK. All they had to do was prevent Hundor from recalling. They didn't have to go in for the kill. They just had to chase. They didn't have to fully commit. And this huge critical build takes down the Lyra, who has no armor, and takes down Tyra's as well off the back of a good active camo and some good stutter stepping out of Hundor. So overall, really well played out of G2 there. They hang on by a thread and live to find another fight. Dark Potato finally has some additional tier 3s completed as well. The Broken Myth is available. He did go the War Tread, so the team either has an additional disengage or hard engage, but he does not have that clockwork that helps him spam out those bad mojos when he's empowered. So that'll be something to look forward to as we go on. obviously packing up on the shield defense here. He does have a sizable amount of shield, but he doesn't have a block. And that was a result of what we saw in that last fight where Tyros was able to get a double Oblivion down for the sleep, which gave them enough time to clean up Kiana Nakoa and chase down Hundor. But, you know, as again, Hundor, you cannot count this guy out even when he is down.
Man, incredible stuff. Hundor on this Kestrel, showing a glimmer of hope for G2, making sure they stay within a shot. Now they have one more chance, you would feel, to take down SK. We'll have to see if they're able to do it. 21 minutes. Deep into this game. SK failing to close on out. The Vein Crystal has been exposed. Giannico will backport, picking up some flares for his team. Next team fight so decisive for G2. They're moving in for the fight as well. The War Treads have been popped.
Both of these teams.
The Frostburn, it's gone out, but Kavalafar's in trouble. Repositions, the silence blocked again. Tyros, a huge Oblivion, puts 2 to sleep once more. But can they turn it around is the question. Very, very close to taking on Hundor and Kiana Nakoa. It's going to be Kiana Nakoa falling first. Hundor laying down damage. Tyros is dead. Kavalafar escaping. And the healing camp over to Hundor as well. It's not all over as Kavalafar wants to move on in. Trying to take down Hundor here. Trying to get in position. Dark Potato taking low. Oh, they've done it. Tyros is dead. Hundor last man standing against Hegman, and Hegman will go down. A double for Hundor. A ridiculous play once more. What can he do with just himself alive?
He might be able to take this Kraken, actually. He's kiting very, very well. These Glimmer Shots do so much damage. He does have the Reflex block as available, but he needs to be kiting this Kraken. He's taking so much damage at this point. Let's get into this last replay, though. And this fight starts off so well for SK. They've built up so many broken mid stacks. They've chunked down Hundor. They've taken down Kiana Nakoa. But then it is just a little bit too much of an overcommit. Tyros gets blown up on the front line, and then Kavalafar decides to come back in. He did stop the recall, but unfortunately he put himself in a position where he was, you see it right here, he was right in the front line, and it was a bad mojo to the face, followed by some arrows coming out of this Kestrel. It is Hundor, the man, the myth, the legend, cleans up that fight. They solo out the Kraken, and now G2 is in a base pushing scenario.
Hundor on an obstacle course to get those eggs to the farmer's market. G2 once more entrusting them in that basket. Kavalafar going to be stunned up on the front line, and Dark Potato has not quite made his way to this fight. Kiana Nakoa very, very low already. Only 600 HP left remaining, and SK are going to finish out this Kraken. G2 though, look at this. Death Bush over on the Pixel Bush. Will they catch anyone out? Is SK going to step into their trap?
Hegman has a full inventory of flares and a contraption. There's no reason at all that G2 should be able to get this jump. If they do, then SK deserves to lose. As we see the flares coming out of Hegman here. He's done such a good job, but Dowsey...
They haven't flared it. Tyrus is on the front line. Tyrus, he's going to go so low. Fight begins. Tyrus dead. G2, it comes up, but it's a huge Oblivion. It might be enough to get Kavalafar into a position to save the game for SK. Kavalafar doing work. G2, they're able to avoid this fight for now. Dark Potato taking damage from the Crystal Sentry, and Hundor and Kiana Nakoa are going to backport. Despite the single kill from G2, their Death Bush will not be impactful enough for them to win the game just yet.
Yeah, it definitely was so close. They found a good kill. There is no reason when you're in this position, you know the enemy carries are that healthy, and the captain is going to heal up over time with that percentage of health healing from the passive effect of the fountain. There's no reason for you to not check that bush. You can actually drop a flare and check both the lane bush and that jungle bush, and instead a flare goes over right over. But here we go.
Win. Hundor on the front line. It's going to be Hegman taking a lot of damage, but they're able to get back onto the Vein Fountain, heal themselves up, and G2 are going to now step back. Here come SK. They want to re-engage the fight immediately. War Treads, Sigil, movement speed coming out. G2, Hundor's so low, but I don't think SK are going to get into position. They are just going to be able to escape here. This Kraken should be respawning any second now. If it does respawn now, SK may just move in and try and take it.
Yeah, SK in a good spot, and actually Keanu Nakoa, 2 Aegises and a Fountain, prioritizing so much shielding, trying to live on this front line, doing a good job, might I add, but there's no Crucible, and we've seen that Oblivion come through too many times where Hundor and Dark Potato have missed the block. So I think this is a little bit of a risky call. I do like the additional Aegis over the Fountain, but I would have liked to see, instead of a second Aegis, go into a Crucible, help your team block up that Oblivion so that they can use the blocks for their own need. Obviously, there's not much crowd control otherwise, but if they can use it when they're low on health to negate some of the damage. Oh no, a Blast Tremor gets wasted from Keanu Nakoa.
As that Echo hasn't used it just yet. May just hold on to it at this point. Kraken spawned. Dark Potato's working towards an Echo of his own. You can see it in his inventory. Sold that chronograph, so that he could get the energy battery, void battery. Now wants an Echo, but he's a lot of gold away from it. This is a fantastic first game for a final here. So tense to think that G2 are holding on is incredible. Keanu Nakoa does move in, looking for the engage. There is no Blast Tremor. Hundor looking to get onto the front line. There's the Drifting Dark. Keanu Nakoa almost dead. Item Silence can't Fountain, but it comes out. Here we go. G2 want to move on in. The first Fearsome Shade goes out. It's the only Fearsome Shade at this point. And G2 have failed to engage. Once more, SK going to heal on up with these sigils and look to just escape. Hunter just about walks away as well. How did SK react? They have to go for Kraken, you feel?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a choice you can make. You can either make the enemies come in and try to fight you. Despite all of the shielding on Keanu Nakoa here, once that Broken Myth ramps up, you're actually getting less and less return and all that defense. But here's G2 and Dowsey. This could be the last fight of the game.
Silence goes out, it silences them all, but the item silence is there, so there's no Echo to follow back on up. But they find one kill onto K-Val. Hundle's gonna go down as well. Tyras, it's jungle and Captain versus jungle and Captain. Dark Potato doesn't have damage at this point to deal with Tyras' Samuel. How will they approach this next fight is the question. The Echo never got used on the Blast Tremor. Tyrus does get stunned up. Dark Potato in range, but there's the Drifting Dark. Balance and Verdict's doing work. Dark Potato healthy, but Keanu Nakoa taking the Kraken. The Kraken almost taking him out. Dark Potato finds the kill onto Hegman, but Tyrus is still there. He's going to take on down the Batiste, and now it is just Keanu Nakoa and Tyra's left alive.
What a absolutely crazy fight. Somehow Kvalifar makes it out in time to get the damage down onto Hundor, and I think it was actually an attack coming down from the Kraken that killed Hundor. So lucky play there out of SK. Lucky or calculated, I'm not entirely sure, but here we'll get into the replay. We see the fight starts off really good. A silence, 3-man silence comes through onto SK, but here it is right here. The damage goes down, the attack from the Kraken will secure Hundor's fate, and then from there it is just a crazy long fight between the Captain and Jungle. Eventually it is Dark Potato and Hegman that fall.
YouTube started this Kraken up. Oh, when does the craziness stop? When does it all finish is the question. Keanu Nakoa trying to move in for a stun, but he can't find it. Hundor ripping through, but getting caught in the Malice and Verdicts. Hundor may just lose his life here. So low, the Fountain to keep him alive, and K-Val's stunned up. K-Val's gonna go. No Shimmer Strikes to stay alive, and the Oblivion puts Hundor to sleep. It's one kill to SK. One shot coming through, but tanked up by Hegman. SK, only 2 men. They're going to now take down this Kraken, knowing that G2 can't contest it, but Dark Potato, not one to give up in the moment, will move towards this Tribush. Hundor's so far away, there is no one shot to come through. He's sold his Bone Saw for a breaking point, feels he needs the ramp up of the breaking point to win these team fights in this last moment for G2 potentially, and it's all started now. Kvalifar moves in, Hundor laying down the damage onto K-Val. K-Val is straight up dead. Hundor finding one, now they're gonna move in. It's a 2 versus 3, but G2 think they can win it. Hundo taking the damage from the Madison Verdict's Fearsome Shade has been blocked, and Dark Potato may just go down to this Samuel as the Madison Verdicts with the Drifting Dark doing work but not finding targets. The Bonesaw comes back out for Hundo. Breaking Point apparently not doing the trick. 3 versus 2. And a Kraken and Hundo moving in for Tyras. Is Hegman stunned up? Hundo looking for the kill. Samuel will go down. One more auto attack, and Hegman having to escape.
G2 wins this game if they get the ace.
Crystal is exposed, remember. G2 cannot allow this Kraken much time with it. Dark Potato starting it up, but again, this game continues at the 31.5-minute mark.
This is absolutely crazy how close these teams are. It's
Can they
coming
finish
down.
this? This Kraken
is so healthy.
This Kraken might just finish the game for SK. Hundo, does he have the damage? The one shot's gonna come out. Hegman wants to portal over the wall, but I don't think he's even needed. Here he comes, Sigil on top, and the Kraken finishes the game for SK. 32 minutes in. It's only the first of this final. G2 4 to SK.
Oh my goodness, that Kraken doing so much work. Obviously, the more gold on a team, the more health and damage that Kraken does. But Dowsey, exciting game number 1. How do you top that excitement going into game number 2?
I do not know, Denomine. I do not know. Incredible stuff.